I got the wild style, always been a foul child. My guns go boom, boom, and your guns go
wow. Don't give up. We're gonna make it in the end. Oh, don't give up. Tell your neighbor, tell your friend. Alright. Don't give up. Ooh, we're gonna make it in the end.
Hey, one man.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
We're on a mission from God.
The tragedy of life is not death, but what dies inside you while you're still alive.
You're listening to One Man from Ohio.
The only place where one man gets a word in.
Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
Congress is set to meet yet again today on Capitol Hill.
Magnitude earthquake has struck off the east coast of the United States.
It's unbelievable, folks. Reports are coming in that a nuclear weapon has been detonated off the coast of South Carolina.
Lindsey Graham, the senator from South Carolina, he makes a speech in which he says if we don't attack Syria, South Carolina could be nuked.
These 6 things doth the Lord hate. Yea, 7 are all abominations unto him. A proud look.
Obama!
And one more misunderstanding I want to clear up. Under our plan, no federal dollars will be used to fund abortions.
Are you prepared to say that in a government, public-funded, taxpayer-funded public health insurance plan, that no taxpayer money will go to pay for it?
I think that will wind up being part of the debate. I'm not prepared to say explicitly that right now. It's obviously a controversial issue, and it's one of the questions that is playing out in this.
So you're not prepared to rule out?
I'm not prepared to rule out.
Best sermon I ever heard.
Hands to shed innocent blood.
President Obama supports the brutal practice of partial birth abortion, where a baby is delivered up to the neck, and this living, kicking, half-born baby then has a pair of scissors jammed into the back of their skull, and the baby's brains are sucked out.
Well, this issue came up at the state level, and I voted no on the late-term abortion ban.
But that's just the beginning of the extremism of Barack Obama. He voted 3 times against the Born Alive Infant Protection Act, leaving born babies alone to die. Does anyone really believe we should abandon babies in a utility room to die? The answer is yes. His name, Barack Obama.
A heart that divides, division, wicked imagination.
I have 2 words for you. You will never see it coming.
Rahman Malik said 80% of more than 2,000 people who have died as a result of strikes were civilian.
Feet that be swift in running to mischief.
The Obama administration is defending having to essentially seize not only telephone records, but email records. We don't even know what they seized. They say it was important for fighting terrorism.
Well, if we had anything like a free press, there would be headlines saying this is a bad joke. The Obama administration is dedicated to increasing terrorism. In fact, it's doing it all over the world. Obama is running first of all, he's running the biggest terrorist operation that exists, maybe in history, the drone assassination campaigns, which are just part of it. There's special forces operations and so on. All of these operations are terror operations.
Why?
Well, suppose that you're walking down the street and you don't know whether 2 minutes from now the guy across the street and everything around him is going to be blown away by a sudden explosion run by somebody a couple of thousand miles away. You're terrorized. And in fact, villages, regions, countries are terrorized by these operations. They're terrorist. First of all, they are terrorist operations, and they're generating more terrorist operations.
A false witness that speaketh lies,
I will close Guantanamo. I will restore habeas corpus.
Demonstrations have taken place across the world to mark 10 years since the first detainees arrived at Guantanamo Bay. Experts say the detention camp is likely to remain open and in use for several years to come.
I will be held accountable. I've got 4 years.
And you know quickly how people feel about what's happening.
That's exactly right. And if I don't have this done in 3 years, then there's going to be a one-term proposition.
When I said change we can believe in, I didn't say change we can believe in tomorrow. You had an Arab Spring in the Middle East, and then you had the situation in Europe. You had a tsunami in Japan. The severe storms all along the East Coast. Because we've got this big, messy, tough democracy. There are still too many Republicans in Congress who have refused to listen to the voices of reason and compromise. These are bills that Congress ran up. Madam Chairwoman, delegates, I accept your nomination for President of the United States. Now, the first time I addressed this convention in 2004, I was a younger man. A Senate candidate from Illinois who spoke about hope. Not blind optimism, not wishful thinking, but hope in the face of difficulty. Hope in the face of uncertainty. That dogged faith in the future which has pushed this nation forward even when the odds are great, even when the road is long. 8 years later, that hope has been tested by the cost of war, by one of the worst economic crises in history, and by political gridlock that's left us wondering whether it's still even possible to tackle the challenges of our time. I know campaigns can seem small, even silly sometimes. Trivial things become big distractions. Serious issues become sound bites. The truth gets buried under an avalanche of money and advertising. If you're sick of hearing me approve this message, believe me, so am I. But when all is said and done, when you pick up that ballot to vote, you will face the clearest choice of any time in a generation. Over the next few years, big decisions will be made in Washington on jobs, the economy, taxes and deficits, energy, education, war and peace. Decisions that will have a huge impact on our lives and on our children's lives for decades to come. And on every issue, the choice you face won't just be between two candidates or two parties. It will be a choice between two different paths for America. A choice between two fundamentally different visions for the future.
And he that soweth discord among brethren.
And the nation has not been as divided as it is now under Obama that it has been since the Civil War, in my estimation. You let that percolate through America. This man, Obama, has divided this country greater than anyone since the Civil War has done. He's ripped the country in pieces in only 1 year. The imposter has torn the nation apart. turning family against family, brother against sister, father against son, state against state, state against nation, nation against state, one nation against another. He is the most divisive man in the history of the American people. And you buy that garbage that he's a love, peace man? You fool you?
You're listening to One Man from Ohio, only on Spreaker. Hit the like button, and have a nice God day.
Jesus is coming from his throne on high. Now get your holy Bible in the back of the book. The book of Revelation is the place to look. If you understand it, and you can if you try. Jesus is coming from his throne on high.
Hey, hey. When Tupac died, Biggie had a baby. First name question, last name maybe. See, everybody takes, but not everybody gives. His middle name was Will I Live. I don't know what I feel, but I know it's peace. I wear it all over my body, it's Jehovah Nissi. When I'm entangled in a storm that's supposed to freeze me, he's like a European team, cause he oversees me. This young lady gon' drink till she get bottle vision. It seems like everything is there, but a lot is missing. Went from a lot of kissing to a kid whose mama's stripping. Now everything depends on the pole, like a politician. Follow me. Who would've ever knew? Pain, spitting death, gave your boy a toothache. I was cold blood, left a blue stain. Guess there's only one more thing to do. Pray, yeah. I ain't never have a lot of plans, just if, ands, and buts like I model pants. The Lord told me I ought to speak up, I ought to stand, but I always had my feet up, I was an auto man. Come on, and you scared to start flying, that's a known fact. But if your wings lose feathers, they'll grow back. You're gonna wanna keep this moment, no Kodak. I think I'm winning one race on both tracks. Don't clap, let's see you try and count this time, this hour. Know you wonder how did we find this power? I don't know, it was just a divine encounter with the only man who could climb this tower. I wish the world would have a moment for Christ. For Christ. For Christ. Because he gave the ultimate sacrifice. Sacrifice. I mean, he died so you and I could have life. I wish the world would have a moment for Christ. For Christ. For Christ. The whole purpose on this earth is to rep his name. I'm now covered in mercy instead of shame. I never had my own will till the pedals came. Now Jesus reigns and I never seen a wetter name. A porta potty, that was the old me. I'm sort of sorry, I wish you told me. My mortal body, it needed molding. Like origami, he would fold me. Remember bending machines in school meals. Remember missing the steam like cool chills. Remember squinting to see the door hills. Now I sleep and my visions and dreams are fulfilled. Cool. Sometimes we can self-destruct and people listen too little, so I don't tell them much. Where are you in the days when God is selling months? And you would think I had to rest, but I just felt his touch. You see a dude walking by, don't give him your number. And if he knock on wood, put little to lumber. Tell him it's cool and you got a man. Jesus Christ, no false guys are rubbing idle wood like Apollo hands. Sometimes I sit outside and listen to thunder. I'm surrounded by many waters like fish in the summer. I love the Lion King, why would I follow man? I try to sing on my way to the promised land. The world would have a moment for Christ. For Christ. For Christ. Because he gave the ultimate sacrifice. Sacrifice. I mean, he died so you and I could have life. I wish the world would have a moment for Christ. and met a 2. Represented heaven and hell, so he would let me choose. Yeah, then I met Mr. 3, the Holy Trinity. I was inside their smile like simile. Then I knocked on heaven's door, combined myself to all 3, and that's when I met her for